Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, guys, I'm going to read this. I'm going to read part of this article. It's just way too long. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's just way, way too long. But I feel that it's important. So, and it's from Union Leader. Scientology tried to derail star's rape trial by harassing prosecutor. Suit says. Church calls claim false. By James Quealy, Los Angeles Times, dated April 13th, 2024. Los Angeles. Nearly 6 months after actor Danny Masterson was convicted of sexually assaulting 2 fellow members of the Church of Scientology, lawyers for his victims filed a document that contained a stunning new allegation against the faith. Submitted in a downtown Los Angeles court as part of a years-old civil lawsuit against Scientology. The document referenced a purported effort by the church to derail the criminal proceedings against Masterson. Defendants and their agents engaged in a campaign of harassment and intimidation directed at one of the prosecutors assigned to defendant Masterson's trial. The declaration from civil attorney Simon Lean read, that prosecutor's home and car windows were broken. LAPD, do you hear that? Hello, LAPD. The prosecutor's home, electronics were tampered with. I think that's even a more serious crime right there. And defendants' agents surveilled the prosecutor. The December 2023 declaration didn't name the prosecutor or offer any additional detail, and Lean declined to comment. The claim, which was deep within a 372-page document, has not been previously... Hold on, I gotta get some water. The claim, which was deep within a 372-page document, has not been previously reported. The church has vigorously denied that Scientology had anything to do with the incidents involving the prosecutor. But it was not the first time the church was quietly and publicly accused of attempting to interfere in Masterson's year-long legal saga. In a speech last fall, LA County Deputy District Attorney Reinhold Mueller delivered remarks that contained allegations nearly identical to those from the lawsuit, according to a video reviewed by The Times. In the speech, given after he received an award for his work on the Masterson case, Mueller told hundreds of colleagues, including former District Attorney Jackie Lacey, about a pattern of disturbing incidents he allegedly experienced in late 2022, ahead of the sitcom star's first trial. Mueller said he was run off the road, that sounds pretty serious, and that his home was vandalized, according to the video. He also said that cellular and internet service had been inexplicably knocked out at his residence. Ooh. LAPD detectives on the case were also stalked. Mueller said in the video and had their photographs taken while they were off duty. I'm not surprised to hear this. It's also a good way to save face, too. Okay. Mueller didn't directly blame Scientology in his speech, but 2 law enforcement sources told the Times that he accused the church of being behind the incidents in discussions with the LA County District Attorney's Office Bureau of Investigation, which reviews threats against prosecutors. Los Angeles police officers responded to an attempted break-in at Mueller's home in February 2022, according to a document reviewed by the Times. Responding officers noted damage to a window and described the incident as an attempted burglary. Psst, please, are you kidding? According to the document, which describes the suspect as unknown. I don't know. After the break-in, the district attorney's office conducted a threat assessment of Mueller's home and had security stationed there for at least one night, said the sources, who requested anonymity because they were not authorized to speak to the media. Got to read between the lines there. Mueller declined a request for an interview, and a spokeswoman for the district attorney's office declined to comment. Honestly, this just looks like a lot of people trying to cover their ass. No criminal charges have arisen for Mueller's claims, and it does not appear the prosecutor has provided evidence for his allegation that the incidents were carried out at the direction of the church. Karen Powell, a spokeswoman for the church, heard that name before, said allegations that the church cult harassed or intimidated witnesses, prosecutors, or law enforcement officers are categorically false. All we got to do is just look at their fair gaming policy. There is zero evidence, no, that's not true, to support these scandalous allegations. Indeed, all available evidence demonstrates the cult had nothing to do with the alleged attacks. Powell said anti-Scientology bias. Boy, they're just like little robots, always saying the same thing. Powell said anti-Scientology bias was on display throughout the trial. What about the women that were raped? She has accused a judge of making an Wow, now they're talking about the judges? She has accused a judge of making an unconstitutional interpretation of church doctrine. Church? And also alleged Mueller is biased against the church. It's not even a church. Mueller, however, was not the only person involved in the Masterson case to accuse the church of harassment and intimidation. LAPD detectives who investigated the actor also said they had been surveilled, watched, or experienced some type of harassment, which they attributed to agents or individuals from the Church of Scientology, according to former LAPD chief Michael Moore. And we know we could trust him. An LAPD investigation turned up no proof that the church harassed the detectives. Oh, this goes deep. Somebody's getting paid, you guys know that. Moore said in an interview last year. So isn't it interesting that all of the protesters had all of these things? Almost all of them have had similar things happen. I think some of these people need to learn how to investigate real crime. One of the women behind the December legal filing that contained the harassment allegations involving a prosecutor was Chrissy Carnell Bixler, who claimed in the suit that the church or its agents tampered with her home security systems and vandalized her car, and described an incident in which someone attempted to run her off the road. Oh, just like the prosecutor? After she accused Masterson of rape. So Leah Remini, Bixler, the prosecutor, everybody must just be having what do you call that, group hallucination? Everybody's hallucinating. Tampered with her home security systems and vandalized her car, and described an incident in which someone attempted to run her off the road after she accused Masterson of rape. Also, too, I'm thinking how many more of these rapists are they harboring right now as we speak, to include people who do that to children. The Times typically withholds the identity of victims of sexual assault, but Bixler has spoken publicly about the case and is a named plaintiff in the suit. Another plaintiff in the case, whose name is not public, alleged that unidentified men were following her in downtown LA during the trial. The church has repeatedly denied wrongdoing in that lawsuit, and Masterson dismissed it as an attempt to smear Scientology when it was first filed in 2017. You know what else, too? A lot more people are coming out with having been drugged and arred in Hollywood, and I think there's a connection. Masterson was convicted of 2 counts of rape in May of 2023 and sentenced to 30 years in prison. The count involving Bixler resulted in a hung jury. Masterson has filed an appeal on the other counts. The civil lawsuit remains pending. And meanwhile, all the LAPD officers are always out there guarding La Poubelle. Sorry, I had to get some water. A Times review of court documents also found that during the Masterson trial, a longtime Scientology attorney tried to affect the outcome of an unrelated case involving the church in the same courthouse. According to court transcripts, LA County prosecutors and the public defender's office, the church's lawyer tried to broker a plea deal. I think that's against the rules. LA County prosecutors and the public defender's office, the church's lawyer tried to broker a plea deal for a man accused of attacking a Scientology security guard, offering to help negotiate lesser charges as long as the man said his actions were inspired by a Scientology critic. Powell called the allegations against the church delusional and biased against Scientology. Yeah, there's a lot of delusion and bias going on, but it sure is not against Scientology. The entire story is a work of fiction. It is, just like Hubbard. It is the church that is being harassed, and it is the church that is being subjected to false allegations, she said. How much you guys, I wouldn't even be surprised if she's a victim of this stuff. That's how bad it is. The initial rape case against Masterson ended in a mistrial, and Mueller recounted in his award acceptance speech that concerns about Scientology were constant before it reached a courtroom. He spoke about bringing a colleague onto the case and said, "I felt it was important to let her know this was a church of Scientology and they have a strong influence in this case. They've had a big impact on these victims, and I wanted her to have a heads up that there may be some shenanigans, some harassment, stalking, retaliation. Those things might be a possibility." 2 other attorneys declined to sit second chair in the case for fear of church interference. Mueller said in the video before Deputy District Attorney Ariel Anson took the job. Anson declined to be interviewed for the story. Mueller was the only prosecutor known to have alleged any harassment. While he was on a trip outside California shortly before Masterson's second trial, Mueller received a panicked phone call from his wife, said the 2 officials not authorized to speak publicly. She'd heard glass breaking and went downstairs to find a window had been damaged. The incident led district attorney's investigators to guard Miller's home overnight. Los Angeles police were also called to the scene, police records show. Yeah, LAPD that loves Scientology. Unknown suspect used unknown tool to break window. How did they come to that conclusion? Inquiring minds want to know. I want to know. Suspect did not make entry and fled. Read the LAPD report, which listed Mueller's wife as a victim. Keep note of these names, you guys. LAPD Captain Kelly Munoz, The department's chief spokeswoman said an investigation into the break-in remains ongoing. I bet it does. Powell said the church has never been contacted by Mueller or the district attorney's office about the alleged harassment. She calls the claims outlandish and unbelievable on their face. Yeah, you guys know, Darvo. Deny attack, reverse victim offender. The church has long held the case against Masterson, a lifelong Scientologist, was tainted by religious bias, a claim Powell again leveled. They always use a religion when it's not even a religion. It's just hysterical. Mueller's colleagues defended him. LAPD, did you hear that? He has a reputation as being extremely careful, honest, and straightforward, said Deputy District Attorney Eric Siddall, former vice president of the union representing rank-and-file prosecutors. Masterson starred as the bad boy Stephen Hyde on That 70s Show, and in court his victims said they waited years to come forward because of his celebrity status and because Scientology forbids a parishioner from reporting fellow members to law enforcement. Funny how the only place we see the religious terms is in the media. Because anytime ex-Scientologists or the policies are describing their people, they usually describe them as a manager or a worker or, something like that. They never use parishioner. Although the church has long denied it had such a policy, a Los Angeles County Superior Court judge ruled otherwise after a 2021 preliminary hearing in the Masterson trial. Hearing witnesses also testified that church officials dismissively referred to secular police and courts as WOG law. That's very defamatory. A reference to a pejorative term for non-Scientologists. It's like a racial slur in England. The organization has its own internal justice chief to handle internal disputes, according to trial testimony and documents presented during the case. The church has denied allegations that it has a policy barring members from reporting one another to the police. After learning of Mueller's speech and the lawsuit accusing the church of harassment from the Times, Claire Headley, a former Scientology executive who testified as an expert witness at Masterson's trial and unsuccessfully sued the church in 2009, that should be a hint to you guys, said the alleged incidents sounded familiar to tactics allegedly used by the Office of Special Affairs. Honestly, we didn't need her to tell us that. Suspicious, if you ask me. Formerly known as the Guardian's Office, the church wing manages all legal and public affairs, which can include campaigns to destroy and silence critics of the church, former members, and journalists, Headley said in a recent declaration in a lawsuit filed by actress and ex-Scientologist Leah Remini. In a court declaration in the Remini case, Headley also accused the church of using private investigators to harass her organization, the Aftermath Foundation, which offers support to those who have left Scientology. In court filings in the same case, the church has dismissed Headley as one of Remini's partners in bigotry and said she's been removed from the church for too long to have any direct knowledge of its current operating procedures. They have Mike Rinder in here. I'm not even going to read it. I'm not going to read it. Anyways, they give their... Rinder gives his little speech because he's an expert. And then Powell dismissed Rinder as a bitter, excommunicated member of the church, describing him as an inveterate liar. He has made a career... Why are we even talking about this? This has nothing to do with the fair gaming. Oh, look at this. Rinder did not respond to multiple requests for comment. Why are they always referring to him and Claire Headley in that? Ugh. Scientology officials have similarly long denied the existence of fair game, a practice that Rinder and others allege is a no-holds-barred approach to squashing criticism. Well, he would know. Any and all statements that the church has a policy of fair game are false. The implication that such a policy... This is all like fluff. Okay, you guys, give me a minute. I'm going to scroll and see what's pertinent here. Okay, I'm going back down to when Mueller, the one who's filing this, he's bringing up in court about the harassment. The prosecutor. Mueller said in court that he learned the materials were in the church's possession after an attorney for Scientology mistakenly attached them to an email to the district attorney's office. That is hysterical. The message was intended to be a complaint against Mueller and his co-counsel. But it also included a message to the LAPD chief. Oh, right there, you guys. FBI, Homeland Security. I'm going to read that again. But it also included a message to the LAPD chief written on church letterhead that included links to about 570 pages of the People's Discovery, the prosecutor said in court. Weeks earlier, Moore had met with the Scientology representatives in his office at LAPD headquarters. That is a conflict of interest. It's not even following, I'm sure, their policies. That doesn't follow any policy. Let's just keep it real. A lot of fluff in this article. The meeting last April was not listed on a copy of the chief's official schedule obtained by the Times. Oh, did they erase it? I'm being sarcastic. Moore and an LAPD spokesperson said it was attended by Scientology's head of security and Vicky Podboreski, the attorney who accidentally emailed the protected files to Mueller. This is juicy. Podboreski did not respond to multiple requests for comment. She previously told the Times documents were legally and properly obtained. Two other attorneys responsible for disclosing the files were sanctioned by Masterson's trial judge. The church and Moore have given contradictory accounts of the reason for the meeting. Of course they have. Oh, the heat's getting turned up, ain't it? According to Moore's recollection, Podboreski and her group reminded the chief that the church was not part of that trial, but said they had come to share allegations that detectives and prosecutors on the case had falsified witness testimony. Damn! Overstated or coached witness testimony and withheld evidence. I guess that's what you do when you start getting desperate, isn't it? Podboreski also claimed to have boxes and files and electronic documents that would demonstrate clearly such misconduct, according to Moore. Powell, the church spokeswoman, insisted the meeting had nothing to do with the Masterson case. The church requested to meet with Chief Moore to present complaints about bias and misconduct by LAPD. Wow, the audacity. By LAPD officers with respect to the church, the cult, including accepting and maintaining open investigations of blatantly false reports about the church. That's just funny to me, I'm sorry. She said in a statement that LAPD accepted the complaints and opened an investigation. Oh, LAPD, do you guys even know how to investigate? I'm just saying. For the reported misconduct, which includes the disposition of open cases as to the church cult, it was explicitly stated that the meeting was not in connection with the Masterson trial, and the prosecutor was never discussed. All the stuff we're hearing, it sure seems like there's starting to be some real hard evidence in our faces of dereliction of duty, of not following proper police procedures, conflict of interest, taking payouts, blackmail. I mean, where do we begin? In both a November 2023 interview with The Times and in response to questions about Powell's statement, Moore remained steadfast that the meeting was in relation to the Masterson trial. Yeah, of course. Through an LAPD spokeswoman, he reiterated that church officials brought boxes of alleged evidence of misconduct by our detectives and the prosecution. Oh, jeez. The judge in the Masterson case, Charlene Almedo, ruled last year that the church's complaints about Mueller and his co-counsel were demonstrably false. Let me say that again. Were demonstrably false. Moore said the department conducted its own internal investigation, which was not completed at the time of his interview. Yeah, we can trust that. He does not believe law enforcement committed any misconduct in the case. The heat is on. Moore's decision to take the meeting set off alarm bells, both within the LAPD and the district attorney's office. Ding, ding, ding. Masterson had been the target of an LAPD investigation, and even if Moore took no action, there were concerns the meeting could create an appearance of impropriety. No way! It's all coming out. One high-ranking LAPD official and two sources within the district attorney's office said it was highly unorthodox for him to personally receive an internal affairs complaint. Bam! The timing seemed extremely inappropriate to me, said the LAPD official, who requested anonymity for fear of retribution from the department. Yeah, and Scientology. In the middle of a trial, you're going to take a meeting because they're high-up attorneys with the Church of Scientology? The heat is on. In court, Mueller said the church's visit to LAPD headquarters impacted the case, noting that one of the lead detectives, Esther Mayape, expressed reservations about testifying after news of the meeting surfaced. Almedo described the timing of the church's allegations against the detectives as calculating, noting the meeting with Moore took place days before Mayape was scheduled to testify. In his declaration in the civil lawsuit on behalf of Masterson's victims, Lean also accused the church of filing baseless accusations against the detectives and the prosecutors in the Masterson case that were timed to interfere with the retrial of Masterson. Attempts to contact Mayape were unsuccessful. Of course they were. Detective Javier Vargas, the other lead investigator in the Masterson case, declined to be interviewed. Oh, you don't say. What about when the victims came to them like 20 years ago, and what happened to that so-called investigation? Isn't there any retribution for that? Moore said that several LAPD detectives on the Masterson case reported some type of harassment, which they attributed to agents or individuals from the Church of Scientology. An internal LAPD investigation, however, found no evidence of church involvement, Moore said. See what they're doing, guys. You guys see what they're doing. Sucks to be them, doesn't it? Powell said neither Moore nor any other LAPD official contacted the church about the supposed harassment. She denied any contention that the meeting with the chief was an attempt to intimidate the investigating officers and suggested the detectives were attempting to deflect from their own alleged misdeeds. Yes, some idiot who does auditing and sec checks all day. Moore acknowledged frustration in the ranks about his meeting with Scientology officials, but maintained the situation warranted his involvement. The person who represents them, they're trying to save themselves. The person who represents themselves as the counsel for that institution was making very aggressive and very serious charges of prosecutorial misconduct. I don't know if I said that right. Of prosecutorial misconduct, as well as department misconduct. And I, out of the abundance of caution, wanted to ensure that they understood that we took that seriously, Moore said. Isn't he retired now? While Masterson's second trial played out in front of the cameras last year, another criminal case involving the Church of Scientology, wound through the legal system in the same downtown LA courthouse. Armando Garcia, a 52-year-old convicted sex offender. Let me say that again. Armando Garcia, a 52-year-old convicted sex offender, was awaiting trial after he allegedly drove his car at a Scientology security guard outside the church's West Coast headquarters on Sunset Boulevard in February 2022, according to a probation report. Garcia told the Times he was distributing leaflets claiming the church has connections to Satanism when he was confronted by the guard, who told him to leave. Oh, that's interesting. According to a probation report, Garcia got into his car and drove in the guard's direction, but did not actually strike him. Although the man was not harmed, Garcia still faced assault with a deadly weapon charges. And don't they do this kind of stuff to everyone else all day long? I'm not saying that was okay to do. His public defender, Adela Gorgon, said last April that a church attorney approached her with an offer to broker a deal, according to court records. You guys know what that means. Kendrick Moxon, a lifelong Scientologist and prominent church attorney, wanted Garcia to say he did what he did because he was inflamed by documentaries and a potential reality show that is currently airing or has aired on Netflix, according to a transcript of preliminary hearing. Isn't that called coaching the witness or something? There's a name for that. Not intimidating the witness, but you're trying to, or maybe it is, I don't know. The documentary Gorgon referenced was Scientology in the Aftermath. Created by Remini, the actress and outspoken former church member, the former King of Queens star sued the organization last year, alleging that the church and its members have harassed and stalked her since she defected in 2013. Remini also regularly attended Masterson's trial in support of the victims. Under the proposed deal, if Garcia blamed his alleged actions on Remini, the Scientology attorney would ask prosecutors to reduce the charges to a misdemeanor or even less. Oh, I see what they're doing now. According to the transcript, Gorgon did not respond to a request for comment. I know there's a name for that crime, but I can't think of it right now. Court transcripts show Garcia called the church an abomination. Says this from a sex offender. But he maintains Remini's show had nothing to do with his actions. You know what I'd actually like to see, was this guy actually a sex offender? I think he was, but it could have been a good way to defame him. His public defender accused Moxon of trying to use the case to further the church's battles with Remini, according to the court transcript. This is so good, I have to read it. It's clear that the Church of Scientology, for whom the security guard is employed. Oh, look, he's employed. Then again, they keep always referencing everyone as a worker. Only when it's convenient do they put parishioner. I don't see any church stuff going on there. It's clear that the Church of Scientology, for whom the security guard is employed, has an agenda that is bigger and absolutely unrelated to Mr. Garcia. And they are using Mr. Garcia in this case as a pawn in order to be able to get these documentaries off the air. Yeah. Too late. It's way too late for that. A spokesperson for the district attorney's office confirmed that a Scientology attorney approached prosecutors and said the church would accept a lighter sentence against Garcia if he admitted on the record the Leah Remini documentary influenced him to commit the offense. In a sworn declaration in Remini's lawsuit, Moxon said Garcia's initial attorney, public defender Justin Page, had told him Garcia's action toward the church were motivated by Remini. In a statement to the Times, Page said the content of Moxon's declarations were baseless. An attorney for Moxon denied all wrongdoing and said there was nothing improper about his client's actions on behalf of the church. Moxon was acting as a victims' rights attorney in the case and has often appeared as counsel for victims in prosecutions arising out of crimes in which the church and or individual Scientologists were the victims, his lawyer said. A judge reduced the charge against Garcia to a misdemeanor after reviewing video of the incident. Yeah, you guys know he was baited. Garcia was sentenced to 1 year of probation in order to stay away from the church. They always do that. They always want people to stay away. The district attorney's office said, Remini said she wasn't shocked to hear her name invoked at proceedings she had nothing to do with. They will stop at nothing to protect Scientology, she said of the church. Bixler, one of the Mastersons' accusers who has filed a civil lawsuit, said that as with many others the church allegedly harassed, no resolution can undo the fear they instilled in her. I can count on two hands the amount of times I've left my home in the last few years, she said in her victim impact statement at Masterson's sentencing hearing last year. This and so much more is the life sentence Mr. Masterson and Scientology have given me. Distributed by Tribune Content Agency, LLC. I had to read the whole thing. I just thought it just was so good. You know, I wouldn't see these fools doing this in small towns, would you guys? Because I live in a small town. I wish an MNFer would. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm going to go for now. You guys have a good night or a good day wherever you're at. Peace.